Alright, this is the replacement external filter for the transmission. That just runs in line with the coolant lines. And it fits inside there, and this little canister threads up on there. And I think under here I have determined, you can see right there, there's the canister. This goes up on it like so. This is the return, and that one hanging over there is the pressure coming from the transmission. So I'm going to thread this line back into the cooler. I'm going to put the canister back up there without the filter in it, and I'm going to fire this thing up with that pressure line disconnected and run it into a bucket and see what we get. Wish me luck. I don't want to buy a transmission. Here's this little something I just found out on the new radiator. I bought that at AutoZone. Comes with these adapters. This is the one that was in the original radiator for the transmission coolant lines. It's a little bit different thread right there, so I can't thread the factory one in the new radiator. And that's pretty deep because the nut on the line has a big shoulder on it. This one is shallow, so the threads on the nut will never contact the threads in here. So I can't hook up my cooler on the radiator. That's real pleasant, isn't it? But anyway, I can continue on with the remainder of it, but I'm going to have to make a run to town and figure out what I can do about that. I've got the lovely Mrs. Heavy Chevy out here, and she's going to assist me in the procedure. And the procedure is going to be this. I got the cooler line sticking in a bucket right here. I put 7 quarts of transmission fluid in the transmission. Mrs. Heavy Chevy's going to start the engine with it in park, maybe 5-10 seconds, and then she's going to start going through the gears. Reverse about 5 seconds, neutral about 5 seconds, drive, and then on down into low, and then work our way back up. I'm going to be watching the hose here. As soon as I see it running out of fluid, I'm going to tell her to shut it off, and then we're going to do it again. And hopefully all the pink goo comes out and it has fresh transmission fluid when we're done. But let's see how it goes. On the wrong hose. Just keep doing it. All right, shut it off. My battery went dead yesterday in the middle of this, but that's the last bunch I got out of the transmission. It's redder than the first bunch. So I went and bought some more transmission fluid, and I'm going to work on it some more. And this is what I'm going to have to do to make my transmission cooler hookup. They sent me the wrong fittings. I had to go buy a 3/8 pipe nipple and cut it in two, and I'm going to weld it on there and do that twice so I can thread the old fitting into the new radiator. Ain't that something? You gotta do all that just to make the new stuff work. Alright, got 2 of those made. Once they cool off, I can thread them in the cooler. Hey, that one's still warm. And I gotta put a new O-ring in there. Not sure why there's an O-ring on a flare fitting, but that's the way it is. And I have to put a new O-ring in that one as well. Hopefully that'll work. I decided to go ahead and pull the pan off again just to get what little bit lays in the bottom there. And that's what it looks like after 20 quarts through it. And I can see there's a little water in there still. I'm going to go ahead and clean that out. And fill the pan back up. I think I'm going to go ahead and I've got all the transmission cooler lines hooked up. The external filter in. I'm going to fill it up this time, I think, and let it warm up. And then flush it one more time. Alright, I had her warmed up to operating temperature. I'm going to drain the radiator. And I'm going to drain the transmission from the pan again. And then blow out the cooler lines. And see how we go from there. Sure wish I was an expert on this stuff. Surely do. Power stroke. There's the pan off for time number 3. There's all the transmission fluid I put in it. And I meant to show you what the color of the fluid was this time, but I forgot. It's sort of red. It's red with a pink tint. And let's see what else. Here's the what's coming out of the radiator. There is water down there, but that's probably 3-4 inches of goo. I'd say that cascade's working pretty good. And here's some thoughts I've had. The internet is a wonderful thing, but sometimes it just serves to confuse you, or at least me. As you might guess, I'm a Chevy fan, not a Ford guy, but I bought this truck cheap with the idea I'd get the wife out of the Honda. It was wrecked, hit hard in the front here. Got some used sheet metal and some new parts. And was hoping to have a good running truck for about half the money. What I should have done is put a new radiator in it just for insurance, but it didn't look like it was leaking. Now I've got a new radiator, $200 worth of transmission fluid in it. It still needs to be flushed or something, but I'm done for the day. I'm gonna study on it a little bit more. This is not intended to be a how-to video. It's how a Chevy guy bumbles through working on a Ford video. More like it. Anyway, that's it for now. See ya.